Ever since its inception, FNAF has consistently featured a type of media that the community has become infatuated with, to the point that if you're even remotely aware of the community, you would have been familiar with it. First, it involved creating hoaxes and trying to trick others into believing things, some of which were of varying quality. Then it was making fan songs, also of varying quality. And a bit more recently, we had the analog horror scene within the community, also known as FNAF VHS, which was, once again, of varying quality. Okay, wait, this time there is a huge gap in quality. What the fuck is this? Yeah, FNAF VHS is definitely a lot more different than the three, as it's sort of infamous within the community, from the fact that a lot of the content within the subgenre tries way too hard to be scary, not to mention how oversaturated the content itself is, with everyone and their mom trying to become the next Squimpus McGrimpus. Wait, not like that. Either way, whatever opinion you have of FNAF VHS, you can't deny that it does have its charm, and it's genuinely a form of media where a lot of fans are able to play with how they interpret the story of the series, or even outright change things they don't like. It's for this reason and its ability to unsettle a lot of fans that it's as big as it is, with some people even taking the most popular FNAF VHS videos as canon and trying to spread it around as the truth for some reason. FNAF TikTok. However, quite recently within this subgenre emerged another subgenre. From analog to digital horror, we have the topic of today's video. FNAF virus games, or more specifically, FNAF Ransomware. To put it simply, FNAF Ransomware borrows some of the aspects of FNAF VHS, but it stays mostly contained within one scenario. You're a stupid kid who wanted a free copy of FNAF, so you go online to download one, and it ends up being a virus. Big shocker. The videos that people have made of this concept basically go along the lines of person downloads this free FNAF game they want to show us. It's FNAF, except it looks really chopped, and then the video usually ends with a ransomware pop-up where the person who's recording now has to pay their entire family tree's net worth in Bitcoin just to save their device. There's obviously a lot more to it, but that's the very oversimplified rundown of FNAF Ransomware. Unlike FNAF VHS, it is very limiting with its scenario, as every single ransomware video, no matter what, sort of just feels the same. Where with FNAF VHS, one video might be of William Afton getting burned alive, and another might be of Ennard getting a squad wipe on a SWAT team. Despite its limitations, however, that hasn't stopped it from also becoming oversaturated. With all of that being said, we now have reached the actual topic of today's video, that being a FNAF fan game simply titled FNAF 1 Remake. Released on April 1st of this year and created by Marco Antonio, FNAF 1 Remake is essentially the culmination of the overflow of VHS and ransomware content within the community, as it was made to mock said content with its over-the-top cliches. Even if it is a complete joke though, is it still a good game and worth your time? That is the question I aim to answer today, so without further ado, let's get right into FNAF 1 Remake. So right off the bat, the first thing I should probably mention about this game is that, well, you actually can't play it in full screen. When you first start up the game, a monologue plays that's literally over 3 minutes, so to cut it short, it's basically just in the perspective of you, the player, being nostalgic for FNAF when it first came out. Kind of poking fun at people who say shit like, oh, I miss when FNAF was only 6 games. The Steel Wool era sucks. I want old FNAF back. But in a tone that seems to be really serious. The text that shows up is someone talking to you within the game, saying they can, quote, give us the privilege of living through the story again, but better. This is when the game transitions from full screen to windowed, which you cannot change the window in any way or even move it around. This is something that I've never seen a FNAF fan game do. Actually, now that I think about it, I've never seen a game do this, period. So this definitely caught me super off guard, but in the best way possible. As this isn't just an annoying inconvenience that forces you to move closer to your screen, but I'll get to that in a sec. One, scrolling through Wallpaper Engine's catalog for a new wallpaper since I didn't realize the game would do that, and totally not because I was embarrassed of having a murder drones wallpaper and just looking for a FNAF wallpaper because it would fit better later, and we're at the game's title screen. There's not much to see here right now, just the basic options, extras when you beat the game, and obviously the continue button, which is where we start our first night. After a bit of dialogue from the narrator, which is how I'm going to refer to this person from now on since they don't have an official name to my knowledge. Either way, the only thing that they say about this night is that we gotta survive, the basic scheme. I do like how the game doesn't really try to baby you at all, since everyone and their mother essentially knows what to do when playing FNAF 1, so we're just thrown straight into the night. Speaking of which, this is when we finally see how the permanent windowed mode is utilized. When you look left or right, you will notice the game's window will move to the corresponding side that you look at, which is genuinely such a cool gimmick that while it may not have any actual purpose in gameplay besides being flashy, does make the game feel a lot more immersive in the ransomware style it was going for, which makes sense since it's supposed to simulate having full control of your computer. Like I said before, this is something I've never seen a FNAF fan game or any game do, but I really do hope hope it catches on and is used in unique ways in other fan projects that do decide to implement a similar mechanic like this. One last small detail to note, I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, but in the poster of the center of the office, it looks like it's trying to spell Stingray, which if you don't know was sort of patient zero when it comes to the entire FNAF ransomware scene, as it was a rumored pirated version of FNAF 2 that was an actual virus. But that's kind of all I can say about it since I don't know much about it. Anyways, getting on to the actual game itself, there is a lot to unpack here. The visuals of the game are extremely chopped, but that's obviously done on purpose to fit the whole ransomware vibe. Flipping up the cameras, we get our first look at the crew, and camera layout is vastly different from the original, going from 11 to just 7 cameras, and the names for them are also super simplified as well. Yes, let me just check the fucking dinner camera. The final major change to the game as of now is how long the nights are, as the clock in game is accurate to the minute, with each night being 6 minutes long as opposed to FNAF 1's original night length of 8 minutes and 55 seconds. The first night is just your usual get used to the game night, with the only active animatronic being Bonnie. Or well, the game spells it with a Y, but whatever, it's pronounced the same. Bonnie works essentially the same as his original counterpart, however he will actually go down both hallways instead of just sticking to the left one, so you're going to want to be checking both cameras. The doors themselves are also not the same at all. In the absence of buttons, you simply click and hold on the space to illuminate the hall and drag the door to close or open it. Also, I just need to talk about Bonnie's design for a second. I know this was done on purpose to trigger an uncanny valley response, but to me, this just looks extremely funny. Like, this motherfucker looks like he was the result of crossbreeding between normal Bonnie and that one motherfucker from the Walton file. The last notable thing that should be mentioned here during this night is, well, whatever happens here. I have no idea if this is an actual enemy in the game that you need to close the door on or if it's just a rare occurrence, but I'm going with the latter since this thing never shows up again, and it kind of just looks like a face that would be traced over to make it Wojak. At the end of each night, the clock will count down from 6 AM all the way back to 12, all while jittering the window, which is a small but really cool detail. Moving on to night 2, we are now introduced to 2 more animatronics, one of which becoming the most important aspect to the gameplay from now on, Oxy Pirate and Chick. Starting with Chick, since her mechanics are way easier to explain, she essentially works the same way as Bonnie, coming from either of the hallways. However, unlike Bonnie, she is loud as fuck. She plays a sound cue of her running, which gets louder and louder until it stops, signifying that she's right outside the door. What the fuck? The sound effect will also play on either your right or left headphone, so it's not like you need to guess which side she's coming from. All you need to do when she's outside your door is, well, you know, close it. Have you been paying attention to what's going on? Also, she like looks really funny. Chick is really easy to deal with, much like Bonnie. However, I cannot say the same for Oxy Pirate. From here on out, the focus of the game is going to shift on Oxy Pirate a lot due to how his mechanics work, as he adds 2 gameplay elements that both contradict with each other. The much more important mechanic that he adds to the table is the shock charge. On the cove camera, Oxy Pirate now starts to slowly go through his usual stages of leaving the cove. However, unlike the original, if he gets out of the cove completely, he will actually prevent you from closing one of the doors, which allows for the other animatronics to kill you instead of doing it himself. This is what the new shock button is for, as pressing this button will revert him back to the first stage, no matter how far he is into leaving the cove. However, you are going to want to use it sparingly since it has quite a long cooldown of around 40-ish seconds. The second mechanic that Oxy Pirates adds to the game is a hook that comes down from the ceiling, which if you don't click on it in time, it will kill you instantly. A sound cue of Oxy Pirates singing will play as his arm comes slowly down, and all you have to do is click on it once for it to go away. While the hook mechanic is really simple and not as challenging as the shock one, I do really like the way it was implemented, as they basically work as complete opposites. One requires you to be on the cameras keeping track of its progress the entire game, while the other requires you to be off the camera and needs to be focused on immediately. Both of them need your attention, but one is more immediate than the other. Upon completing night 2 and moving to night 3, we are congratulated by the narrator, but then immediately warned about a new animatronic, that being Fazbear, the animatronic with the most mechanics in the game. He can appear in 3 different ways, all of which requiring you to deal with him immediately. First, he can appear just directly in front of you, which will require you to simply stare at him until he goes away. You can't look at either of the doors or the cameras during this, so it can be pretty annoying if you know an animatronic is at one of your doors, or if you need to shock Oxy Pirate. Second, you'll need to play a game of hide and seek on the cameras with him, which you'll know when you need to start looking for him when a laughing sound cue plays. Because of how the lighting is in this game and the positions he can appear in, looking for Funbear can actually be really hard, especially when you're in a rush to be doing other tasks and just waiting for the camera to turn, since he can straight up just not be visible at all in certain camera angles. And sometimes while you're waiting for it to turn, it can actually end up being the right camera, so he goes away, but you end up not realizing and continue searching for him, which can drain a lot of power. Lastly, a tablet with 9 different buttons will appear in front of you, much like the first way Funbear can appear, except this one requires more attention since it's a 4-digit Simon Says game, and as soon as you get a single digit wrong, Funbear will jump scare you instantly. With a total of 3 mini games thrown into the mix, Funbear is by far the most complicated character in the game, but he still doesn't require as much attention as Oxypirate does, which is honestly quite surprising. While Oxypirate requires you to give him your attention throughout the entire night, Funbear is more so just paying attention to him for short periods of time, which isn't really a big deal at all unless if it's the hide and seek minigame. That's essentially everything new to night 3, so let's just skip ahead to night 4. The dialogue from the narrator for night 4 is a lot more concerning than the other 3, which reads,
"You're having fun, right? I wish we could keep this going forever. I wish I could keep this going forever. I don't want to lose you again."
Now, I don't know about all you guys, but whenever a character says something along the lines of, "I want to keep this going forever," or "I don't want to lose you again," something bad is gonna happen. Speaking of, this night was genuinely a fucking chore to beat because man, you really gotta lock in compared to the last one. The difficulty curve from night 3 to 4 is huge and is when Oxypirate really starts to come into play. A majority of the deaths for my attempts to beat this night were caused or indirectly caused by Oxypirate due to how much attention is now required to give him, and this stems from 2 of his mechanics, the shock charge cooldown and how fast he progresses through his stages. On night 4, the shock charge cooldown has been increased from around 40 seconds to 55, which doesn't sound that bad until you realize it's almost a 40% increase since night 2. Along with that massive increase in cooldown time, Oxypirate's progression is sped up a lot, leaving very little room for error when it comes to shocking. If you shock too early into his stages, the cooldown becomes too long, and Oxypirate progresses too fast and gets out. If you wait too long to shock, then the same thing happens. The trick here is that you're going to want to wait until the last second before you shock Oxypirate, so by the time your charge regenerates again, he'll still be in the cove. As soon as I found this out, that's when I pivoted my playing style to giving most of my attention to Oxypirate. And that's one thing I also really love about this game besides its innovation with new mechanics. Being able to successfully manage your resources always has a super satisfying payoff. That being, winning the game. So to recap, the strategy here from here on out is to give most of your attention to Oxypirate and always know what stage he's on. When he reaches his final stage before leaving the cove, you're going to want to wait a little bit and then shock, which lets it be able to fully recharge without Oxypirate going through all of his stages and leaving you helpless. Second to Oxypirate, focus on Funbear whenever he's in his hide and seek minigame, otherwise you'll die instantly. And then the rest of the animatronics you can deal with as they appear. If you plan on playing this game after this video, hopefully these tips help you out, otherwise you're going to be stuck on this night for a while like I was. Speaking of which, before I move on to night 5, here's a short little montage of all my deaths during night 4. Oh, it's Jover. Oh, it's Jover.
Yeah, it's over.
Hey, man. Okay, oh! Got him!
Oh.
That's just bullshit. Okay, come on, just kill me. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm just dead. I'm gonna look at I'm gonna look at you. Is that the, I think that's the final one. Where is Freddy? Here? Okay, you're not there. GG. GG. Alright. Another ominous message later, and here we are on to night 5, which didn't nearly take me as long to beat as night 4. It's definitely because I got the whole rhythm of things down for how I should play the game, and also because the game didn't exactly get a whole lot harder from here. Besides Oxypirate's shock cooldown going from 55 seconds to 57, which is like literally nothing. Either way, this night is a breeze after completing night 4. Same thing, but instead you don't actually have to reach 6 AM. All you have to do is get to 4.
It can't this way. You don't understand what I've achieved here today. How difficult it was to get them all in one place. So you see, all of this was for you. And all you can do to repay me is leave me here to rot? I won't have it. If this isn't good enough for you, then I have to make it perfect. Clearly I am in pure if you would rather abandon what we have together. So let me prove it to you. I will show you the perfect night. I'll give you everything you've ever needed. It'll be the greatest celebration. The party of a lifetime. All for you. And this time, you won't ever want out.
Okay, so when I said the narrator didn't have a name, I may or may not have lied. So the Fredbear skinwalker that you just saw right there is actually named Buddy, and he's the one who has been talking to us throughout the entire game, from when you first open the game to between night cutscenes and this point in the game. Now, this is gonna sound crazy, but if you put your thinking caps on, Buddy right here doesn't really like the sound of us finishing the game. So we now have to survive against him in the 6th and final night. I know there's quite literally a guide right here on how to beat him, but get that shit out of here, that's what I'm here for. Upon entering the night, you're immediately gonna notice two things right off the bat. For some reason, everything is now red, and the office has gotten a new look with 2 TVs. The TVs are simply there for one reason and one reason only. Gotta turn them off by clicking them as soon as they turn on, since they'll drain your power. Turn the TVs off. Wait. Turn the TVs off. Buddy essentially works as an amalgamation of all the animatronics we previously went against, minus Oxy Pirate Shock Charge Management. If you hear fast running on either side of the doors, close it immediately. If it's walking, simply flash Buddy with the light until he goes away. I found this out the hard way. He also has a really cool animation here when he runs away, which I thought I'd just point out since I love details like this. Buddy's final mechanic is very similar to Funbear's hide and seek minigame, except instead of hiding, it's more so a blaring alarm telling you to find a pop-up and close it quickly, otherwise you're gonna die. Despite my explanation of how this boss fight works being relatively short, that doesn't mean it isn't a really fun gameplay loop, as it puts all your skills you previously learned into one final fight and tests you on them, having to distinguish certain sounds, your reaction time, and fast thinking. I also do want to touch on Buddy's design and jump scare, as they are honestly really terrifying and pretty clever. Going more into what I really like about his design, if you haven't catched on by now, he's supposed to represent the embodiment of warped nostalgia since he's got the face of Fredbear, but it's obviously not right. It tries to keep you from going on by presenting a version of FNAF 1 that attempts to make you feel like your young self when you first discovered the game, but it isn't just what it is at all. I think what a lot of people don't realize is that nostalgia can be a pretty painful feeling when you reminisce on how you felt when you were a kid, a much more innocent person. As a wise person once said, you can go back to the past, but no one will be there, since everyone has moved on. And as the clock ticks closer and closer to 6 a.m., as we see these red walls for the last time, it's finally time we move on ourselves.
I failed. The one thing I was meant to do, and I failed. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect, and I never will be. I tried my best. I really did. But it wasn't enough. And now, when you close this game, I will die all over again. The licking flames of the free choice itself will scald my very soul. For I am nothing but data, check marks in a grid. I never had my own mind. I only exist through yours. And as I bounce off the walls of your skull, nothing but darkness will welcome me. Roaming these empty, miasmic halls for time immemorial. Please do not be cross with me. I did everything I could to please you. I hope this last row we had together was I hope you had a good time. I will miss you. I'm sorry.
Did you forget this game was a complete joke? Because holy fuck, I sure did. After you complete the game, you're given your usual extras menu with some renders of the characters and their jump scares, along with some behind the scenes, such as how the game came to be, and a certain scrapped character who, surely can't be a reference to another fan game. And finally, the bonus menu, which contains a lot of extra stuff, such as a night selection screen with some cheats, custom night, a fucking 6-hour mode. Yeah, they really aren't hiding it, are they? A little music player for the OST of the game, and a letter from the dev, which has a bit where they basically laugh at you if you're actually scared at the game. There is also a secret ending for the game that, while I did complete and record, the file of that recording ended up getting corrupted, sadly, and it can't be used. But just note that the secret minigame for that specific ending is genuinely pretty fucking terrifying, and I really like the twist that they did for that minigame as well. After you beat the minigame, you get a small teaser for the next game that Marco is working on, that being an actual FNAF 1 remake, or retake as it says, called Welcome to Freddys, revealing the puppet design for that game that is also really creepy. And on that note, I think that's all there is to say about FNAF 1 Remake, so let me give my closing thoughts. Despite being a joke, FNAF 1 Remake is genuinely a really well-made fan game that implements a lot of features I just haven't ever seen used before until now, and I really hope a lot more fan games start to incorporate that into their games. Like seriously, more games should utilize this window moving thing, it's so fucking cool. Its gameplay loop, character design, satirization of the ransomware genre, and message of needing to let go and move on instead of letting nostalgia consume you are all things that contribute to this game being so great, and quite frankly also making it one of the best fan games I've ever played. Like, okay, the game was made for April Fools, yeah, it's also making fun of a subgenre of media that's within a subgenre itself, and yeah, it plays the fucking MLG song at the end when you complete the game. That doesn't mean the message isn't true, and that's what I love the most about this game. It doesn't take itself seriously, it's fun, has cool features and mechanics, but it still reaches to you on a personal level. Or maybe I'm just looking too deep into this shit, I don't fucking know. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and once again, I am sincerely super sorry for this video taking so long to come out. But the good news is, I have now graduated from high school, so I've got a lot of time on my hands, and I just finished my trip from South Korea, which if you're wondering, that is why I was gone for a majority of the summer. It was really nice though. If this video sounded a little weird or wasn't on par with the editing on my other videos, I hope you can forgive me since I am going back into the rhythm of things, but fear not, next video will hopefully be a lot more up to the Kip Ashley standard. So keep your eye out for that, and if you haven't already, go ahead and like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, just tell me what you liked, disliked, or something else I should make a video on in the comments below. But I think my time is finally up. I'm gonna go install a free copy of FNAF that totally isn't a virus onto my computer. I'll be on my way now. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and see ya. Mom, I'm telling the truth, it was a virus.